Today we're going to talk about a story that is just incredibly difficult. It's the story of Marlise Muñoz. And it really forces you to think about this incredibly complex and frankly painful place where medicine, the law, and a family's wishes all crash into each other.
So let's just start with a question, and it's a really tough one. Is it possible for a dead person to be forced to carry a pregnancy? I mean, against her own wishes and against her family's wishes.
And here's the thing. This isn't just some abstract legal what if. It actually happened. Back in 2013, this exact situation played out in a Texas hospital. This is the story of Marlise Muñoz, and it sparked a debate that, honestly, we are still grappling with today. So yeah, a life on hold. This is where a family's grief and a woman's very clear wishes ran headfirst into the unyielding letter of the law.
Okay, so to really get what turned this into such a legal and ethical firestorm, we've got to go back to the beginning. We need to understand the personal tragedy that kicked this whole thing off. So what happened to Marlise?
You know, it all happened so fast. On November 26, 2013, Marlise, who was a paramedic herself, she just collapsed from a pulmonary embolism. The very next day, doctors declared her brain dead, and you'd think that would be the end of the tragedy. But for her family, the real nightmare was just getting started. They asked the hospital to honor her wishes, to remove life support, and the hospital said no. They pointed to a Texas law. And that one decision, it forced her family to do something just unthinkable. They had to sue the hospital just so they could let her go.
Now, the family's whole case, their entire argument really came down to this one crucial term, brain death. And this is so important to understand. We are not talking about a coma. This is not a vegetative state. Brain death is both medically and legally a final declaration of death. You are gone. And that one definition, it became the absolute center of this entire fight.
And so, there you have it. The lines were drawn. The law versus the family. On one side, you have a grieving family armed with a medical and legal declaration that their loved one is dead. And on the other, you have a hospital pointing to a state law they felt they had no choice but to follow.
And what makes this even more heartbreaking is what Marlise herself had said about this very thing. Her family said she was incredibly clear about her wishes. She told them, if I'm brain dead, let me go. I never want to be kept alive on machines. I mean, her own words, let me go, just adds this devastating personal layer to the whole legal fight. So, what was the hospital's argument? Well, it all came down to this one specific piece of Texas law, Section 166.049. And what it said was that you could not withdraw life-sustaining treatment from a pregnant patient. For the hospital, that law was absolute, and in their view, it left them with no other choice.
So here's where it all came to a head. You've got these two sides, and they just could not meet in the middle. The family's position was simple. Marlise is legally dead. She is a corpse, not a patient, so that law doesn't apply. But the hospital's position was just as firm. The Texas statute is crystal clear. We cannot remove life support from a pregnant patient regardless of brain function. Our hands are tied.
But you know, while all the lawyers are in courtrooms arguing about the definition of the word patient, the Muñoz family was living through an absolute nightmare. This wasn't a legal debate for them. This was the grim reality and had a real, devastating human cost.
59. That's the number of days. For 59 days, that's almost 2 full months after Marlise was officially, legally declared dead. Her body was kept going by machines. Just let that sink in for a second. 2 months.
And her husband, Eric, he put their suffering into words that are just impossible to forget. He said she was already gone. They were keeping her corpse alive for the fetus. It was torture for us to see her like that. Torture. That's the word he used to describe what they were going through every single day.
The physical reality of what was happening was, well, it was awful. The court records describe Marlise's body deteriorating. It was swelling, leaking fluids. Her own family described it as just a shell. And the fetus, the whole reason this was happening, it was non-viable from the very beginning, at just 14 weeks. And doctors were noting that it was showing signs of deformity as time went on.
So how does something this agonizing finally end? Well, it turns out this one family's private tragedy was about to force a major public reckoning, and it left a lasting legacy. The resolution finally came from a judge on January 24th, 2014, and the ruling was decisive. The judge said, yes, Marlise Muñoz is legally dead, period. And because she's dead, that Texas law about a pregnant patient does not apply to a deceased person. The hospital was ordered to remove life support. The impact of that ruling was huge, and it was immediate. It kicked off this fierce national debate about end-of-life care, abortion, fetal personhood, all of it. And as a direct result of this case, that law in Texas, it was clarified to explicitly exclude patients who are declared brain dead. And even today, the Muñoz case is one of those landmark cases that gets talked about in medical ethics classes and law schools all over the country. The family also settled privately with the hospital.
So the Muñoz case gave us a legal answer for this situation, but it leaves us with these enormous, profound questions, right? We live in an age where technology can keep a body functioning long after the person is gone. So who gets to decide what happens next? Who really has the final say when a person's own wishes, the strict letter of the law, and what modern medicine can do all collide?